Hi everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where talk, it's knowledge. But sometimes talking isn't enough. We've got some fun stuff to look at today in the worlds of virtual reality. And our good friend is joining us, but first, our other good friend. I've got two Scots with me today. One's Scot-Irish, the other one is Scottish. I've got Leslie Price as our co-host. She's riding side saddle. She's always here. She's got that big smile and she's great. We love Leslie. Here she is. How you doing, Leslie?
I'm very good, thanks, Rick. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh, we love having you on. And by the way,
than I was last week, because last week I was just back from Australia seeing my son, so I've now got over the jet lag.
Yeah, and for all those interested, Leslie works with LearnAppeal, www.learnappeal.com. Go take a look at it. There's some really great stuff. We're going to have a show on LearnAppeal very, very soon, so you can learn more about it and get involved. So, Leslie, we've got a great guest today. He's an old friend of mine. I love John. He's just a good guy. He's one of the smartest people I know in e-learning, and always doing great stuff. And he's doing something right now which I find really interesting. He's incorporated the world of virtual reality, if you will, and development right into Lectora, one of the time-proven authoring tools out there, one that we use quite a bit. John, are you there? There you are.
I am here. How are you?
Good. How's it been going?
It's been going very well. We're keeping busy. Keeping busy. Hi.
Busy's good. And you were telling us, I know you talked to me offline one time, that this virtual reality is your baby.
It is.
You're having fun.
I've been on it for a little while now. Really excited. Looking for something to make a difference with the company, and we wanted to look for something, look for the future of e-learning, and it really came down to VR is really where things are going. All the studies have shown that virtual reality learning has a much greater retention than regular learning. It's faster time to being proficient, everything moving in that way, and it really is the way to go.
Yeah. In fact, you're not even real today. You're actually a virtual reality imitation of yourself, correct?
I wish I could do that, because then I could get twice the work done.
Oh, that would be good. Cool. Yep. So what made you get into virtual reality of all things? Now, I know you. You're a guy who loves the new stuff. You love gaming. You love tech. You love all the things that are kind of fun and exciting. And we're both like little kids when we talk about this. But what made you see that as something that was important to the world of e-learning, as well as making it more accessible to those who aren't virtual reality experts?
Well, I actually had something I haven't had in a long time in my career. I was given some time to figure out what the future was going to be, and then to come up with a future product for the company. So I actually had a few months to do research and go through a lot of different avenues, and I looked at a lot of different things that we could have done and avenues we could have gone on. And then just looking through and looking at it from someone who's been in this industry for many, many years, you kind of realize you know the right sources, and you realize the path to go on. And so I got to choose the path of virtual reality. Plus, it's really, really cool. That helps.
It is. It is. Well, you're going to do a little bit demo for us, right?
I am. Yes.
So I hope so.
Yes.
For those that don't know, my background actually started off, I was telling John before the show, my background is actually in what you call in the US community education, what we call in the UK further education. And one of the big things that was really important to me and the learners that I supported when I was lecturing, I lectured for about 17 years, was skills. And hands-on skills. And I think VR and AI has a huge part to play in helping young people develop skills. Maybe not just young people, but for me, my passion was, when I was in that world, was young people. And I just think it has such huge, huge potential.
I agree, but the biggest problem has been, lately, that to get into VR, there's a very large barrier to entry, right? It costs a lot. You have to find a company out there to create create it for you because it's not something normally you can create by yourself. You have to come up with a large script. They hand create all the pieces and the details, and it's a lot of work, plus the setups, the gear, the Oculus and Rift and so forth, very expensive per person. You need kind of a dedicated room for it because you have these sensors that have to be placed in the room. So it's previously always had a very high barrier to entry, and that's where we came in. We tried to find a way to lower that barrier of entry so anyone could create the content.
That sounds really good. I must ask at this very early stage, have you come across one of my friends, Donald Clark?
Donald Clark? I don't believe so. No, I have not come across Donald Clark.
Oh, well, he would be worth looking up, and also Marco Ficini. They are two guys in the UK who are doing a lot. I mean, I remember, oh God, quite a few years ago now, Donald used to take his Oculus Rift to various events to just show people what was possible. And both Donald and Marco Ficini are passionate about vocational skills, and that's an area I know that they have explored and they're continuing to explore. So I'll tell them that you're doing this too now, because I know that they'll be interested.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think this is the first time in any major authoring tool where this is being offered, which is also cool. It's a first.
Yeah. It's actually one quick point. It's not really part of Lector. It's not actually part of Lector at all.
Okay.
It is a separate tool, CenarioVR, but its output can be put into Lector. You can use it with Lector, if you will, but it is a separate thing, a separate entity.
And it's called CenarioVR.
CenarioVR.
Got it.
So what made you get into it then, John? What was the passion that got you into it?
Really, it was just looking at the statistics of how more effective e-learning is in VR, and realizing that is where many things. It's not where everything goes. If you're going to teach somebody how to create, how to work with a spreadsheet, you're not going to do it in VR because the output is not in VR. But for many parts of learning, you're dealing with things that are hands-on or experiential, and for that, VR really does the job, and it does it so much better than you can in any other way. So it is a great companion tool to have for a lot of reasons.
Sounds good. Well, why don't we get started?
Let's do it. All right, I'll share screen. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
And we can see it.
Can you see the screen?
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the opening screen of CenarioVR. It is just your list of scenarios. Each of these is a scenario. Let me just quickly tell you about the input and the way it works. So CenarioVR is built to work with 360 videos and images. So it takes you take a 360 camera, which are very cheap. There's many options on the market today. And you take either a video or an image in 360, and then you can take that. Each of those images or videos becomes scenes within CenarioVR. And then what CenarioVR allows you to do is to stitch those together and create a scenario or a story out of those scenes. So this first one is a course on corals of the Caribbean, and we start with an opening video that goes through and just. It's a quick video. I can actually kind of run it here if you want to give an idea. It's easy to see the output first, and then we'll switch over and kind of show how it's done. But we start with an opening video, and if you'll see if I move around, we can actually see the entire beach scene behind us. So we have a video, and then we have a few things here. We have just some text, kind of a header on here, and we have a hotspot here, a hotspot. And that hotspot links us to the next scene. The next scene is an underwater scene where we have a choral scene. It's playing some audio, some bubble background, which is not coming through on the Skype, but you get the idea. And then we have a series of questions that are revealed by clicking on a hotspot star. It asks you about the choral. This is actually table choral here. And we're getting some audio feedback on the correctness. This is staghorn choral. And you'll see when I answer the third question in any order, it knows that I've answered all 3 questions, and it actually switches me over to the next scene, and it auto switch over and link to the next scene. So there's ways you can do that. And the next scene is more questions, and it goes through, and then it asks you about coral bleaching and different things. So you learn kind of all about coral through this course. Well, how do you create something like that? Well, you create it by having 360 images and video, putting it in, adding those as scenes, and then onto those you add objects, questions, hotspots. You can actually add videos, audios, all kinds of things. So in this case, we have a question right up here. The question has properties associated with it. So if you open up its properties, you have a set of properties. We'll bring that up right now. And so this looks pretty standard. You have your choices associated with it, your question text. You have style. You can assign many different styles to this, font styles and font colors and so forth. But then you assign one of them to be correct, and then you have actions based upon that. So you can do things based upon that. So I have a correct action here. He goes through and he hides 1 star, shows the done button. So he says, okay, we've done that question, and then he plays the correct sound. So we actually have many different, you can have a sequence of actions happen upon that. And each of those actions can actually have conditions. So you'll see on the done audio, on the correct and incorrect audio that plays, when that audio comes up, we have an action, it's on done, and when it's on done, it's going to link to the next one, but it's only going to do it if we've already answered all of those questions correctly, or we've already answered all those questions. You can check to see if the questions are answered. You can check to see if they're correct or not correct, have or have not been answered, or have not even been shown. So a lot of different things you can do, and you can check anything within the entire scenario. So I could actually look in for a question that was asked on the first scene in the scenario. I can find out what was answered there, or I can look to see if something was shown. Anywhere in the entire thing, you can conditionally branch upon that. So you can actually create. I don't want to actually save that. Make sure I did just make a change. Do you have a question there, Rick? Or
no, I'm just sitting going, this is that easy. So
yeah,
I'm actually going, that's way too easy. I love it.
It's a 3-button interface. I mean, you just have a couple of buttons in here. This is a run mode, preview mode. You click on this to add objects. So here's where you add hotspots, questions, info cards, audio, images, videos, or you can add a scene over here. You can also just drag and drop directly onto the interface, and you can add in images, audios, videos, and so forth. It'll even map 2D videos. So we've actually seen a lot of people, even in VR, you can map a 2D video into the 3D scene and play that on there. And it will actually wrap it directly into the sphere, the 360 sphere that you're in. And it will work in VR, in a VR helmet as well.
And you have full accessibility to audio, video, anything else.
Absolutely, absolutely. And actions all around that. So you can tie actions to it to do all kinds of things, play audio. It works really well for, audio or visual feedback. So you really can, because if someone's watching this in VR, you can watch it on the web as well. So you can create these 360 scenes and just play them on your LRS if you want, but you can also play them in VR. So for the, so we make it very, simple and low cost to create, but we also try to make it simple and low cost to consume. So for our output in VR, we actually utilize Google Cardboard output and phones, simple smartphones for your output. So we have iOS and Android apps for the phone that work with this, and when you assign courses to users, that'll show up directly on their app. They can download it directly to the phone, so it can be used offline. And then you can actually just pop it into a very, very inexpensive cardboard, $3 to $5 or pounds, if you will, and it's a very simple way to get into it. So you can actually provide all of your students. We give them away at trade shows. We give away Google Cardboard headsets to people at trade shows just to kind of show it's very inexpensive to get into. So a very small 360 camera, a few Google Cardboards, and you're off and running. And you can have VR classes and so forth on, at any time. So we have several examples up here.
And by the way, for the people watching in the audience, it doesn't run like what you're seeing here. It's a little staccato because of Skype and bandwidth. If you're actually in front of it or on a real device, it'll go fast.
Yeah. Okay. If it's not keeping up, I should probably talk slower because it's probably
no, you're fine. It's a little staccato when you move. For example, it jumps like jerky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just bandwidth.
Yeah. So this is a this is a course. It's an interesting course. I did it on office safety, and I actually did this in our office. And I took the 360 camera and I went to a bunch of different areas and I looked for OSHA safety violations in our office. And not surprisingly, it was pretty easy to find them. We actually found 2 OSHA safety violations in our office, and I created 2 more that were put in there. But you just walk around. So this is just I created in under 2 hours the entire thing, and so. This is actually a video of our office. I know it looks like an image, but we are programmers, so we don't move much. So you might see me walking around there. It is a video, but it's a scene. If you are an OSHA inspector, this is the real situation you're going to be in. You're going to walk into an office. You're going to have to look around. You're probably going to have to look behind you, and you're supposed to recognize that is a fire extinguisher, which is the most common violation. And so you should recognize it and go into it. So I have that just link into another scene. That scene is a close-up of the fire extinguisher, and you're supposed to look at it and be spatially aware and find out what the safety violation is. So there is a violation, and this violation was in our office. However, we have since fixed it. No worries.
What was the violation? It expired, right?
No, there's no maintenance tag. So
that's what I mean. The maintenance tag didn't show. Yeah, it expired. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's actually completely missing. So the maintenance tag is missing. That is a $10,000 violation, by the way. Kind of important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then it allows you to walk around the office, so you can teleport to other areas in the office just by clicking on these links. You teleport to other areas of the office. And we look up, and in this case, we have a guy standing on a swivel chair with wheels, putting up a poster. Definitely not good. Not good at all. That is a safety violation. Now, that one, of course, was staged. But just to give you an idea, safety violation, it's a significant fall hazard. Can't do that. So,
totally immersive.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely immersive. You go in there.
I'm going to come in. I'm a little bit confused. Probably because I'm Scottish. That to me is observation, as opposed to actually what I would call VR, which is being there. And is that because we're viewing it the way we're viewing it, or is that what you're describing as VR? VR to me would be somebody going to be able to actually touch the fire extinguisher, take it apart, or go up and stop somebody being on that chair with the swivel chair with the wheels and say, sorry.
Right. So if you film the scene, and if I went into the fire extinguisher, I could go into a fire extinguisher scene and actually go through and click on a part, and then I would go to I could create another scene. Where you would do that is you would create another scene that had that opened up, exploded view of it. You could then pick a part on that by clicking on it, using transparent hotspots probably at that time, and then it could blow up and explode that part of it. So yes, you could interact by working with it. In VR itself, you would do that by gazing at it, by actually just staring at it. You wouldn't have a mouse like I have here to work with it. You would actually do it in VR and gaze at it.
I understand, certainly from using, from wearing an Oculus Rift, where you're actually really immersed in it, or even from wearing Google Cardboard, you can be really immersed, where you can almost like take something apart, but you're not really doing it in real life. It is virtual reality. So is this kind of an in-between?
So there's virtual reality is broken down into 3 different types of virtual reality. So the first is passive, which is actually not truly virtual reality, which is the YouTube version of virtual reality, where you're kind of just watching. You see roller coaster videos, things like that. And that's passive. Then there's interactive. This is an example of interactive virtual reality. So you're in a 360 video scene, and you can interact with things that are going on in that scene. And the third is advanced interactive, where you have hand controllers and you can go in and you can manipulate things through hand controllers and so forth. That is an example of advanced interactive. That's where you need something like a Rift or something of that nature. This is interactive, where I interact with it by gazing at it. So you can still do many of the same things, but you don't have two-handed applications and things like that. You kind of have a one-handed application that you're working with.
Okay. But it's certainly better than reading. loads,
Yes.
like 50 pages of PDF.
Right, exactly. And you can do things. So I have another example here that's probably a bit more like what you're thinking about. Let me get in here. This one's called the human body. Now this one doesn't use a camera, it uses rendered scenes, so you can also use rendered scenes as well. And I believe rendered in Maya, where you actually have it probably won't come across Skype, but we'll give it a try. So we have a very unusual view of a menu with this. So the menu in this case is actually hundreds of body parts floating around. Hopefully that's coming through there. I'm trying to see. It looks like it's still a black screen. There we go, coming through on your side there.
Yeah.
And so the menu, you can look all around and see all these things floating. But you have 4 items on here, and these are different areas of the body that you can go interact with. So in this case, we have the mouth, if you will. And so if we select that, it's going to take me into that scene and actually throw me into a mouth, and that'll come.
That's pretty cool.
Through. Yeah, so now you're on the inside of the mouth, and it's actually talking to me. It's telling me about what I'm looking at and what I'm seeing, and I can look around and look at different areas of it.
Does that mean we can actually teach children how to clean their teeth properly?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
And the second tooth on the top has a cavity, but not just kidding.
Actually, it talks about what these spots are. So it asks you a question and then moves you around within here and kind of shows you what's going on. Now, I can see it's not coming through very fast there, but it is moving around. And then talks about the different areas of the mouth and what the different spots are, and it's different bacteria and so forth. So kind of unusual. If that's coming, there we go. It's kind of coming through slowly.
No, I can certainly see the benefit of that both for children and adults, because mouth hygiene is actually so important to our whole body. Yep. Not just our mouths.
Yeah, and it's amazing how few doctors talk about it.
Yeah, that's very true, Rick. They don't, but it actually is.
Heart disease, a lot of problems come from the mouth.
Yeah, incredible amount. And, I remember from when my children were very little, moaning at them to brush their teeth, night and morning. And they would say, yeah, but why, Mummy? Why?
Right.
So if you actually show them why, that might actually make more sense to them.
So here we have one on a 7087 flight deck, which is pretty interesting, and may get more into the interactive area that you're looking for. So this is actually was created by one of our beta users, and actually goes through the entire flight deck, and the entire plane actually have a 787, and the only one that was done on it is the cockpit so far, but it actually goes through all of the safety equipment within the cockpit. And let's go ahead and take a look at it.
And that's an awfully cool plane too.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Do you know there are berths in the back for the flight attendants to sleep in? I did not know that.
I think there are. Yeah, I think there are. Isn't there also an upstairs lounge?
Yeah,
yeah.
It's an upstairs berth to sleep in. It's
a berth. Okay, is that what it is? Okay. Yeah, it's a gorgeous plane.
Yeah, it goes through and shows you close-ups, and then this actually has videos built into it that'll show you
located in the ceiling behind
how to use the hatch, and then you can click on the hatch and open the hatch and so forth.
If required, you can provide.
That's a lot of fun. And you can incorporate this right into Lectora if you want to, as part of a bigger e-learning course.
Absolutely, absolutely. As well as, since we are Trivantis, we do understand e-learning. These things that we'll publish to a variety of options. So you can publish it. It is a authoring as well as a hosting site. So you can host content directly on it in CenarioVR live, and this is also how you get to the mobile apps. So if you host it live, but we can put for downloads. We can create it as a regular HTML5 to go into Lectora or any other authoring tool you want, or XAPI, CMI5, or even SCORM. You can publish these out to SCORM, and if they have any questions and so forth, we'll auto-grade those and produce a score for you for SCORM or XAPI or CMI5. So lots of different ways to output it as well.
That's great. Now, is this available right now?
It comes out June 5th, so it's
not
about
far.
A month and a half away.
Not far.
Not far away, yeah.
Any pricing? Do you know pricing yet, or is that to come?
I do know pricing. We'll have several plans available, but we're going to have a starter plan which does not contain the e-learning standards or analytics. It's $89 a month paid annually. Okay. And we will have a pro plan which contains everything you see here, all the publishing e-learning standards, analytics, so all your full detailed XAPI analytics, 250 named private users for $179 a month.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah. It should be a reasonable product, so pretty neat stuff.
I can't comment about prices. All I do is say, "Excuse me, I'm a charity. I want it for nothing."
All right. Well, we'll have to work with that.
Oh, you'd be surprised how many. Well, certainly. I mean, I won't go on about the capsule at the moment, but we've had some amazing support recently.
All I can say, John, if you do support this product, good things, her product, the Learn Appeal, good things will happen to you.
Good things will happen. We actually did one for the South Wales Fire Department, South Wales Fire and Rescue, who did an extrication. That's a hard word for you. Extrication training. Yeah. And they filmed it all in 360, and they're actually extricating a body from this blue car down on the bottom. So this down here on the bottom, if we go to here, there is a poor soul trapped in that car that they bring out the jaws of life and cut the car open and get him out of there.
Wow.
Yeah, and so it goes through and shows you, close.
Doing that in South Wales, I say I'll have to tell. I've got friends who live in that part of the country. I'll have to tell them that who also are involved in e-learning. So I'll have to tell them that their fire department is actually involved, because I'm sure they don't know.
Oh yeah, no, and then I was actually in London in January at the at Learning Technologies, and a couple of these gentlemen came to our booth, and we were it was nice to meet them. But yeah, we got to see the team in action, and as you see, this shows you videos as you go, and gives you some close-ups and some detail and so forth, and then asks you questions as things are going along, and you get to see what they're doing as they actually extricate the man out of the car. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I missed you in London. I was probably on the stand at the time, but certainly the organisers of Learning Technologies are big supporters of what we do. And Don Taylor, who is obviously the chair of Learning Technologies, mentions us constantly.
Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, John, what for those interested, what 360 camera are you using currently for this?
Yeah, that's
I like
interesting.
the Ricoh Theta V is what I like. It works with some of the cameras only work with certain kinds of phones, either iOS or Android. That works with both. Its output is normal, what we call equirectangular, which is the input format that we need here, so you don't have to do a lot of conversion to get it there. And it works pretty well. It's pretty inexpensive, $399 for a 4K camera. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. And that attaches to your phone, or?
No. It
is self-enclosed. Okay.
Yeah. Let me.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good approach that you're looking for both Android and iOS, because there's an awful lot of people who have some people even have both.
Right. Right. So this one is nice because it works with both, and it doesn't have any issues. It'll transfer. You don't have to use it with a phone. If you want, you can just simply use the button. There's a button on the back. You can simply just take your pictures or your images of that. But the phone can work as a remote control for it, and you can easily use it in that way.
So that tiny little thing, the size smaller than the phone, is your camera.
Yeah, that's it.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well. And you attach it to a monopod and just plop it down wherever you need to be, and then it takes your pictures. So the way it works is there are two lenses on it. Each lens records greater than 180. I think it's 210 degrees on each lens. Yeah. And so when you get done, your video is actually two bubbles, and then it stitches it. It takes some software and stitches it together into a single equirectangular video.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is, what was it called again, John? Can you just tell us again?
Yes, the Ricoh Theta V.
Okay, because I'm sure some of the people who are watching would actually be really interested in the capabilities of the things you can actually do with that when they're creating e-learning themselves.
Yeah, that fire department video was recorded using the Ricoh Theta V, and the quality is perfect. It's very good.
People within the fire department?
Yeah, they use the same camera. They actually asked me which camera to buy, and I told them to buy that one. And so.
No, that's really good.
And the price isn't bad for that. For a 360 camera, that's good.
Yeah, they had help. We have a partner over there that helped them do the filming and so forth.
That's great. Well, that's fun stuff.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. It's anytime you can get new technology, it's always fun.
And it's called CenarioVR Live?
CenarioVR.
Okay, and what's CenarioVR Live?
No, that's publishing to live. So that's one of the publish options. Got it. You can publish to live. Just meaning it's live online.
Yep,
we host it for you.
Okay. That's great. So it's going to be a hosted site, or you can run it locally?
It is a SaaS offering, so it is a hosted product.
Got it.
It is through any browser, so modern browser. We're not going to support older versions of IE, but through any modern browser, you will be able to run it because it supports WebVR.
So let me ask, as a typical e-learning department, will it support IE6?
No, because IE6 doesn't support VR
or anything else for that matter.
For the builder product, we're targeting the IE11, Edge, Chrome, Firefox, Safari.
Okay.
The latest versions of them. So
that's great.
Are you trying to tell me, Rick, that you use IE6?
No, it was a joke. That's something our clients would ask, and they do.
They do.
Oh my gosh, some of them do. And you just sit there going, you're a top-notch pharmaceutical company, and you're asking about VR. I mean, IE6. Oh.
Yeah.
It actually happened to us once. We walked in with a demo, and IE9 was out already, and they did IE6, and our demo exploded, and we went, wait a minute, you're actually, we didn't even ask. Usually we ask, but in this case we figured, modern company, top-notch pharma, no, IE6. They got rid of it a year later, but in the meantime we had to scramble to fix it. Fortunately, John, that was a Lectora project, and fortunately, John's crew had a patch that allowed it to work under IE6 because it was really kind of scary. So that saved us, but it's the kind of thing that we never thought of asking. No, it's amazing what sometimes is out there in very large companies.
Vista.
Yeah, Vista. There was a mistake. Vista.
I couldn't possibly comment.
Yeah.
Vista. Yep. All right, that's great. Well, John, we'll keep you posted. Actually, maybe when it goes live, you might want to come back on and do a little bit more and talk about this. And by the way, we have about 5 more minutes. What's new in Lectora? Anything happening on that, and any new features, any new versions? What's going on?
There's always something new going on in Lectora. We're looking at a lot of things. We're doing a lot with Lectora Online these days.
Yeah.
And so, we've just partnered up with several new products. So, you have, I'm drawing a blank now on what we've done, but we do have the ELB products in there. So all the ELB libraries are now in the Lectora Online product. That was brand new. And we've got several new initiatives going in the area. So we're actually really focusing on Lectora Online recently. So it's a lot of SaaS, a lot of working with SaaS. And so you'll see these two products, Scenario and Lectora Online, actually getting together too soon in the future.
Okay, good. Do you want to come back? I think we lost you there. Actually, did we lose you?
No, he's still there.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Maybe I'm not seeing.
He's asking if you want to come back.
Oh, do I want to come back? Sure.
No, I'm just seeing a relate, some sort of logo. I'm not seeing you anymore, or anybody.
I can see all of you.
Are we on
I can see
Did I get lost?
I can see everybody as well.
I think my monitor got lost there.
We won't tell Rick what we're talking about. We'll keep it a secret, us Scottish Celtic people.
That's it.
Okay, I think we're going back. No, you know what it was? I'm not on the end anymore.
Leslie.
Somehow I left the scene. I'm not sure where we are.
Yeah, I see you.
Okay.
You're still there, so I can see you.
Okay. I see nothing. I just see relate right now. I'm going, what are we doing? Anyway, well, hey, John, thanks for coming on. This is exciting. This should be a fun product, and I hope you guys do wonderfully with it. And I like it because it brings it really to the masses so that You don't have to be a major VR developer to do something like this. That's going to be fun.
That's the idea. Absolutely. You know, the barrier to entry is so high. Bring the barrier down so that anybody can do it. You know, and make it simple. And that way, it'll get more out to the masses. You'll see people using it.
And if maybe that you guys, if you haven't already, maybe consider some school pricing or charity pricing for people like Leslie. This would be a really good kind of product to give to developers who could develop content quickly.
Not even. I'm not even just thinking of us. I'm thinking of all the community education colleges that you have, where they want the young people to learn about plumbing or electricians.
Sure.
Or masonry.
Oh, this would be great for that kind of training.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be school price. I don't have that, but I'm sure there's going to be educational pricing and things like that as well. So
that sounds good. Well, John, as always, it's been a pleasure having you on. It's always good to see you. And what's the next show you're going to be at?
ATD coming up in just a few weeks, actually, in San Diego.
Oh, it's in San Diego. Okay. Well, maybe.
I've got quite a few friends who are speaking there.
Yeah, it should be fun. So we'll be out there in full force with CenarioVR.
That sounds fun. We'll try to get down there. It's not that far from us.
I'll get my pals to come and look you up.
All right.
That sounds great. Well, John, again, a pleasure having you on. We will put your information here, and as well as the Trivantis information, and then take a look at all this. And for you guys watching in the chat room or watching the recording later, take a look at this product. It's CenarioVR. It's CenarioVR.com?
Yes, CenarioVR.com with a C. Scenario with a C.
Oh, with a C. Okay, right. All right, and we will see you next time on eLearnChat. Leslie, we'll see you next time, and John, it's always a pleasure.
All right, see you guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you.